The spaceport was alive with noise. Ships of all shapes and sizes hovered, landed, or zoomed past, carrying travelers from distant worlds. Aliens of many colors, shapes, and sizes moved through the bustling crowd. Some were tall and thin, with skin that shimmered like polished metal. Others were short, with thick scales or fur. Humans were fewer in number here, but their confidence stood out. Ethan adjusted the strap of his tool belt and stepped out of the small workshop he ran near the spaceport. His hands were still smudged with grease from a repair he had just finished. Around him, the smell of fuel, ozone, and alien spices mixed into an unusual but familiar perfume of the spaceport. He had seen many ships come through, from sleek starliners to battered freighters. Most visitors avoided him at first. Humans in this sector were seen as novice mechanics compared to the galaxy's more advanced engineers. But Ethan had a talent that even the most exotic travelers could not ignore. He could fix almost anything, and fast. A strange hum reached his ears. He looked up to see a ship unlike any he had worked on before. Its hull was smooth, iridescent, and shaped almost like a giant teardrop. The vessel hovered carefully, emitting a soft blue light from underneath. Ethan's heart raced. It wasn't often that someone like this appeared at his workshop. The ship's ramp slowly descended and a figure emerged. She walked with grace, each step precise, almost like she was floating. Her skin was pale lavender, and her large golden eyes glimmered with intelligence. She wore a long, flowing robe covered in symbols that Ethan did not understand. Every detail of her appearance spoke of someone important, someone who belonged among the stars, not in a dusty workshop. Ethan swallowed. He had to remind himself to stay calm. He stepped forward and waved. "Hello there. You need some help with your ship?" The alien woman, he assumed she was a woman, turned sharply. Her golden eyes narrowed. "I can manage," she said, her voice calm but firm, almost musical in its tone. Ethan smiled, unshaken. "I'm not saying you can't manage. I'm saying if you want it done right and fast, I can help. I fix ships." She studied him for a long moment. Then, almost as if she had never met a human bold enough to speak like this, she raised one hand. Before he could react, she struck him across the face lightly but firmly. The slap stung. Ethan touched his cheek, blinking in surprise. "Wow," he said, more amused than angry. "That one was direct." The alien woman's eyes widened slightly. You dare speak to me so casually?" Ethan shrugged, grinning. "I speak like this to everyone. It makes life simpler. And I mean it." "You look gorgeous." Her eyes went wide. For the first time, she seemed unsure of herself. She had never heard anyone, especially a human, say such words so openly. She looked like she wanted to strike him again, but something in her golden gaze flickered. Curiosity, maybe even interest. You are not like others," she said finally, her voice softer. "I am Lyra, diplomat of the Trivan cluster. And you are human." "Yes, I'm human," Ethan said cheerfully. "Name's Ethan. I fix ships, I talk too much, and I have a bad habit of complimenting strangers. But I promise your ship, I can fix it." Lyra narrowed her eyes but did not argue. Her ship had developed a strange hum while landing, a vibration that even she could not explain. And though she did not want to admit it, she needed help. Ethan gestured toward the ramp. "Shall we? My workshop is just over there. Trust me, your ship will be purring like a star cat in no time." Lyra hesitated. Then with a small nod, she followed. The way she moved suggested grace and command. Yet there was an unspoken tension, like she was constantly on guard. Ethan noticed, but he didn't comment. Humans often had to read situations carefully, and he was used to dealing with the nervous or prideful. Inside his workshop, the walls were covered with tools, alien tech, and schematics from many worlds. Ethan got straight to work, examining the ship's hull, engines, and core systems. Lyra stood nearby, arms crossed, watching silently. "You humans are different," Lyra said after a while, tilting her head. "You speak without fear, even when the stakes are high. Most beings I know would bow or remain silent in my presence." Ethan smiled, wiping a smear of grease from his hand. "Humans don't usually overthink things. We do what we think is right and we talk straight. Works most of the time." Lyra's golden eyes flicked toward him, thoughtful. "I have traveled many star systems. I have met thousands of beings, but you are unique." Ethan laughed lightly. "I'll take that as a compliment. So your ship, it's giving you trouble because of the flux drive. Something in the stabilization module is off. Easy fix, but it needs delicate hands." He worked quickly, carefully manipulating tools and panels while explaining what he was doing. Lyra watched, fascinated by his knowledge and precision. Humans were known for their bravery, but many underestimated their intelligence and skill. Ethan was proving that humans could handle complex alien technology with skill and calm. Finally, after a tense hour, the ship's hum changed. The vibration stopped. The lights glowed steadily. Ethan stepped back and wiped his hands. "All done," he said proudly. Lyra approached the ship, touching the hull gently. The glow in her eyes was different now. Relief, admiration, and perhaps a hint of surprise. "It is perfect," she admitted softly. Ethan grinned. "Told you. Humans don't just survive. We fix problems too." She looked at him, almost searching for words. Then, without thinking, she reached out and lightly slapped him again. This time it was almost playful. Ethan blinked, then laughed. Okay, he said. "I get it. That compliment still stings, huh?" Lyra's lips twitched, almost forming a smile, but she quickly composed herself. Perhaps it is better if you stay on your side of the galaxy for most compliments." Ethan chuckled. "Maybe. But if you ever need a hand or a compliment or even someone to argue with, you know where to find me." Lyra's eyes softened slightly. For the first time since landing on this human planet, she felt a spark of curiosity about this species. Bold, clever, and unafraid to speak honestly. As she prepared to leave the workshop, she paused. "Humans, you are strange, but perhaps not without merit." Ethan waved as she walked to her ship. "Strange is our specialty," he called out. Lyra looked back, and for a brief moment her expression betrayed something new. Curiosity mixed with a hint of amusement. Then she stepped into her ship and the ramp lifted slowly, leaving Ethan standing in his small workshop, smiling to himself. He touched his cheek where she had slapped him and grinned. "Yeah, that one still hurts," he muttered, laughing softly. But deep inside, he knew this encounter was only the beginning. The stars outside the spaceport seemed to shine a little brighter that evening, as if hinting that this strange human-alien meeting would grow into something neither of them could have imagined. The morning sun of the human-colonized planet cut through the thin mist that hovered over the spaceport. Ships glimmered like jewels in the early light, and merchants were busy preparing their stands. Yet Ethan's workshop seemed quieter than usual. Lyra's ship had been grounded for the past few hours, and she had no intention of waiting around like an ordinary passenger. But there was one truth even her pride could not deny. Her ship needed Ethan's help. Ethan, sipping a cup of black coffee, noticed her standing at the edge of the workshop. She crossed her arms and regarded him carefully. Her golden eyes seemed sharper in the daylight, but she did not speak immediately. "Morning," Ethan said cheerfully. "Sleep well?" Lyra raised an eyebrow. "I slept adequately, but your ship has kept me from the comfort I prefer." Ethan chuckled. "Well, I did warn you, ships have a mind of their own. Don't worry, we'll have it fixed in no time." Lyra studied him silently. There was something different about humans, she realized. Unlike the diplomats and engineers she usually met, Ethan did not seem impressed by her status or alien heritage. He treated her like an equal. It unsettled her and in a strange way intrigued her. "Show me what is wrong," she said finally, her voice firm but slightly softer than before. Ethan led her to the ship. Its smooth, iridescent hull shimmered in the sunlight, almost like liquid silver. The hum that had concerned Lyra yesterday still lingered faintly. Ethan crouched near the stabilization module and pointed. "This little module here, it's off by a fraction. The flux drive is stable enough to move, but it will vibrate under high speeds. That can be dangerous if you're crossing asteroid fields or during a long warp." Lyra tilted her head. "It seems trivial," Ethan shook his head. "Not trivial at all. Small problems in alien tech can grow fast. You fix it now or you risk bigger damage later, and I don't think you want that while traveling through Tarivan space." She observed him closely. Ethan worked with calm confidence, hands steady, adjusting panels and rerouting tiny circuits. He explained every move in simple words. "This part here controls the drive's balance. Just need to realign the flux coils carefully." "Okay, done," Lyra frowned. "You explain as if I cannot comprehend," Ethan smiled. "Not at all. I explain so you can learn. If something goes wrong again, you'll know what to do. Humans like sharing knowledge." Lyra was silent, her pride wrestling with curiosity. She was used to commanding others, not being taught by a human. Yet as she watched Ethan work, she realized the human's methods were precise, intelligent, and oddly impressive. "Very well," she said slowly. "I will observe. Perhaps your people are useful in more ways than I. The next few days passed quietly for Ethan. His workshop was busy, as always, with broken freighters, supply shuttles, and the occasional luxury cruiser needing quick repairs. He enjoyed the routine, though every now and then his thoughts drifted to Lyra. He remembered her golden eyes, her sharp words, and yes, even that slap. He didn't expect to see her again so soon. But on the fourth evening, as the twin suns sank low and painted the sky with red and gold, her ship descended into the port once more. Ethan stood outside, wiping his hands on a rag, when he saw the familiar silver hull. He grinned. Well, well, look who came back. The ramp lowered and Lyra appeared. Her long robe shimmered under the fading light, and her expression was serious. She walked toward him with her usual grace, but there was a new urgency in her steps. "I require your assistance," she said, without preamble. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "No slap this time?" "That's progress." Lyra gave him a sharp look but did not respond to the joke. "Listen carefully, human. I must travel through a dangerous route. An asteroid mining colony near the outer belt. Pirates have begun attacking ships in that sector. But I have no choice. A message must reach the colony before the next cycle." Ethan's grin faded. Pirates were no joke. They were ruthless and clever, often striking quickly before security could respond. "And you're flying straight into their hunting ground?" "Yes," Lyra said firmly. "My duty demands it." Ethan crossed his arms, thinking. "All right, but your ship may need a little backup. Lucky for you, humans are stubborn enough to volunteer for crazy missions." Lyra blinked. "You would come?" "You owe me nothing," Ethan shrugged. "Maybe not. But if pirates show up, you'll need more than diplomacy. You'll need someone who knows how to think fast, and that's one thing humans are good at. Besides, sounds like fun." For a moment, Lyra's expression softened. Then she nodded. "Very well. You may accompany me." The silver ship lifted off under the starry sky. Ethan seated in the co-pilot's chair beside Lyra. The controls were strange, filled with glowing symbols he didn't fully understand, but he trusted her piloting skills. The journey was quiet at first. Stars streaked past as the ship jumped through short warp lanes. Ethan leaned back, watching her work. "You know," he said casually, "most people would call this mission crazy." Lyra's golden eyes stayed on the stars. "Most people are not bound by duty. The colony holds rare crystals vital to my people's energy supply. If they fall into pirate hands, many worlds will suffer." Ethan nodded slowly. "So you're not just important, you're carrying something very important?" Lyra hesitated, then sighed. "Yes, the pirates know this. That is why they will come," Ethan grinned. "Then let's make sure they regret it." The asteroid colony came into view hours later. Giant rocks floated in silent orbit, connected by fragile-looking mining stations. Lights blinked across the structures, and small cargo ships drifted between them. But the quiet scene didn't fool Ethan. "They're out there," he said, scanning the shadows between the asteroids. "Pirates love ambush spots like these." As if on cue, alarms blared. 4 jagged ships broke from the shadows, engines flaring red. Their hulls were patched with scavenged armor, their weapons charged and ready. Lyra's jaw tightened. "They are here." "Of course they are," Ethan muttered, strapping himself in. "All right, let's make this interesting." The pirate ships closed in, firing warning shots. Lyra gripped the controls, dodging with skill. The silver ship twisted between rocks, blue trails flashing behind it. Ethan leaned over the console, eyes sharp. "Your flux drive's stable, but the pirates will predict your patterns. You need randomness. Humans are great at that." Lyra shot him a doubtful glance. "Randomness?" "Yes," Ethan said quickly. "They expect straight moves, logical turns. But if you throw in something unexpected, zigzag, loop, even a fake stall, they won't know how to handle it." Lyra hesitated, then trusted his instinct. She yanked the controls, sending the ship in a sharp loop around an asteroid. The pirate ships overshot, firing into empty space. Ethan grinned. "See? Works every time." Lyra almost smiled, but the danger was not over. One pirate ship swung back, targeting them with a plasma cannon. The blast skimmed their shields, making the ship shudder. "Shields won't hold long," Lyra warned. Ethan scanned the controls, mind racing. "Okay, we can't outgun them, but we can outsmart them." These asteroids, half of them are unstable. You shoot the right one, it'll explode, and the blast might cover our escape. Lyra's golden eyes widened. That is reckless, Ethan smirked. Welcome to human strategy. With no time to argue, Lyra aimed at a massive asteroid glowing faintly with crystal veins. She fired. The asteroid cracked apart, releasing a blinding burst of energy. The shockwave slammed into the pirate ships, tossing them off course. Ethan whooped. Perfect shot. That'll keep them busy. The silver ship darted through the chaos, weaving between smaller rocks. The pirates tried to recover, but the unstable asteroid field now worked against them. Finally, the colony's defense beacons activated. Automated turrets fired at the remaining pirate ships, forcing them to retreat. The danger was over. Lyra guided the ship into the colony's docking bay, her hands still tense on the controls. Ethan leaned back, exhaling loudly. Well, he said, grinning. That was fun. Lyra turned to him, her expression unreadable. You are reckless human, but effective, Ethan shrugged. Reckless and effective. That's pretty much the human motto. For a long moment, Lyra just looked at him. She remembered how he had guided her, how his quick thinking had saved them, and how unshaken he had been under pressure. You are not what I expected, she said softly. Ethan smiled. I get that a lot. Later, as Lyra delivered her message to the colony leaders, Ethan walked through the station, looking out at the stars beyond the thick glass windows. He could still feel the rush of the chase, the thrill of survival. But more than that, he felt something else, a strange pull toward the alien woman who had let him stand beside her in danger. When Lyra returned, her expression was calmer. The message has been delivered. The colony is safe for now, Ethan nodded. Good. Then I guess our mission's done. Lyra hesitated. Perhaps, but I may require your assistance again soon. Ethan grinned. Just say the word. I'll be there. For the first time, Lyra allowed herself a small, genuine smile. It was brief, but Ethan caught it, and it was worth more than any reward. As they prepared to leave the colony, the bond between them had shifted. What began as a chance meeting had now become something deeper, a partnership forged in fire, danger, and trust. Neither of them would admit it yet, but both knew the truth. This was only the beginning of something much greater. Alone in the observation deck, his fingers drumming against the armrest of the chair, his thoughts were heavy, and the quiet hum of the engines only made the silence inside him louder. He could still hear her voice. You're so reckless, human. You can't just throw yourself into danger without thinking. Lyra's words replayed in his head. He had saved her from the collapsing station last cycle, shielding her with his body when the bulkhead tore open. She had yelled at him later, her emerald eyes burning with frustration. But beneath her anger, he had seen something else. Fear. He rubbed the side of his cheek where her slap had landed days ago. It didn't hurt anymore, not really, but it stayed with him like a mark on his heart. He wasn't angry. He understood. Lyra was a princess of her people, raised to show strength, never weakness. Yet she had blushed when he called her gorgeous, and that moment haunted him even more than her slap. Lyra entered the deck quietly. She wore a simple robe, her silver hair falling free instead of tied in the formal style of her court. Aiden didn't notice her at first, but she stood there, studying him. Humans were strange to her, so fragile yet somehow stronger than any species she had met. You're awake again, she said softly. Aiden looked up. Sleep doesn't come easy these days. She stepped closer, her steps cautious. Because of me? He chuckled, but it held no humor. Maybe. Or maybe it's the fact that half the galaxy seems to want us gone. For a moment she said nothing. Then, to his surprise, she sat in the chair across from him. Her eyes held a storm, though her voice was calm. I did not thank you for what you did. On the station. If you had not been there, you'd have been crushed, he finished. I wasn't about to let that happen. She lowered her gaze. Why, you risked yourself with no thought. I cannot understand it. My people would never. Because you matter, Aiden said simply. His voice was quiet, but it filled the room. Her head snapped up and she searched his face as if trying to find some hidden trick. You don't even know me fully. I am heir to a throne. You are just a mechanic, a soldier, whatever you call yourself. We come from different worlds. He leaned forward. And yet when I saw the debris falling, I didn't see a princess. I saw you. Someone worth saving. That's enough. The words struck something deep in her chest. She had been raised behind walls of duty and expectation. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Honestly, without calculation or hidden motive. It frightened her. "You are impossible," she whispered, shaking her head. Aiden smiled faintly. "I've been told that before." Silence fell between them, but it was not uncomfortable this time. The ship drifted forward, carrying them both into the unknown. The next day, the council ship approached. Aiden stood beside Lyra in the meeting chamber, where a holographic image of her people's council. The ship's alarms rang like a scream through the metal corridors. Red lights flashed, and the calm hum of the engines turned into a heavy roar as the vessel shook under sudden impact. Aiden sprang from his bunk, pulling on his jacket as the floor tilted beneath his feet. The moment he reached the control deck, he saw Lyra already there, standing tall in the captain's chair, her silver hair glowing red under the alarm lights. "What's happening?" he shouted. Her eyes were sharp, but her voice carried tension. "A hostile fleet, raiders. They've blocked our path." On the wide screen ahead, dark ships loomed in formation. Their jagged hulls reflected no light, like predators in the void. The crew whispered in fear, but Lyra stood firm, issuing orders. "Shields up. Divert power to the forward batteries. Prepare evasive maneuvers." Aiden grabbed a console. "What can I do?" She looked at him, and for the briefest moment her fear showed. But then she nodded. "Engineering. We'll need the weapons to stay online. Go!" He didn't hesitate. He ran. In the engineering bay, sparks rained as systems overloaded. Aiden's hands flew over the controls. The ship trembled with every blast from enemy fire, but he kept the reactors stable, pushing them to their limits. Through the comm, Lyra's voice cut in. "Status? Shields at 60%. Aiden replied, sweat running down his brow. "But if we keep taking hits, they won't last." There was silence for a beat, then her calm but steady reply. "Hold them as long as you can. We'll break through." Her trust in him lit a fire inside. On the bridge, the crew gasped as one of their escort ships exploded in flames. Lyra's hands gripped the armrests. Her people were dying, and the enemy showed no mercy. One officer whispered, "We should surrender." Lyra rose, her voice strong. "No, if we surrender, they will not spare us. Fight with all you have." Her words sparked courage in them. The crew straightened, their fear burning into resolve. Yet inside her, doubt twisted. Could they survive this storm? And more than that, if Aiden fell, what would be left of her? In engineering, Aiden made a choice. He bypassed a safety lock, forcing more power into the weapon grid. The room shook, warning sirens blared, but the cannons on the ship's hull lit up brighter than before. "Lyra, you're good to fire," he called into the comm. She didn't question. "All batteries fire." The ship unleashed a storm of light, cutting through the nearest raider vessel. It broke apart in silence, debris spinning into the void. Cheers filled the bridge, but the victory was short. 5 more ships closed in. Lyra's heart pounded. She wanted to protect her people, but her thoughts kept returning to the man below, covered in grease and sweat, fighting the ship as much as the enemy. Why did his life matter more to her than anyone else's? Another blast rocked the vessel, and the shields flickered. She felt fear clawing at her throat. For the first time, the proud princess whispered in her heart a simple prayer. Let him live. Down below, an explosion threw Aiden against the wall. Pain surged in his arm, but he forced himself up. The control board smoked, but he didn't stop. His human stubbornness refused to quit. The comm crackled again, and Lyra's voice came through, tense but filled with something new. "Aiden, answer me. Are you alive?" He coughed, laughing weakly. "Still here. Takes more than this to put me down." There was a pause, then her words came softer, almost breaking. "Good, and because I need you." Aiden froze. For a moment, all the chaos faded, replaced by the sound of her voice, raw, honest, stripped of every royal mask. He grinned despite the fire around him. "Then I'll give you everything I've got." Hours felt like days, but finally the enemy fleet broke. After losing 2 more ships, the raiders pulled back, retreating into the void. The crew slumped in relief, their exhaustion heavy. On the bridge, Lyra sagged into her chair, her strength finally cracking. "We survived," she whispered. But her first thought wasn't of victory, it was of him. She went to engineering herself. The doors hissed open, and the smell of smoke and scorched metal hit her. Amid the mess, Aiden sat on the floor, his arm bandaged hastily with torn cloth, his face streaked with ash. When he saw her, he tried to stand. Your Highness, don't. She cut him off, crossing the room quickly. Her eyes shimmered as she knelt beside him. You nearly destroyed yourself. He gave a crooked smile. Guess I'm reckless like you said. Her lips trembled, but she didn't scold him. Instead, she placed a hand gently on his chest, feeling the steady beat beneath. Relief washed through her. You foolish human, she whispered. Why do you make me feel this way? Aiden looked at her, his voice quiet. Because it's real. And you feel it too, don't you? She wanted to deny it. She wanted to hide behind duty, tradition, and her crown, but she couldn't. Not after the battle, not after hearing his voice through the fire. Yes, she breathed, and it terrifies me. For a long moment they stayed close, the ship silent around them. He reached for her hand, and this time she didn't pull away. Instead, her fingers tightened around his. You're so gorgeous, he said softly. The same words that had once brought her anger. This time her cheeks flushed, but no slap came. Instead, she whispered back, and you are impossible. But in her eyes, warmth bloomed. Far away in the darkness of space, other powers watched. The galaxy whispered of a princess who stood beside a human. Some called it weakness, some called it betrayal, but none could ignore it. For the first time, Lyra no longer cared what they thought. She cared only for the strange human who had refused to let go, even when the stars themselves burned. And though the war was not yet over, a new fire had been born, one stronger than duty, one stronger than fear. The council chamber was vast, filled with pillars of crystal and banners of silver thread. Lyra stood at the center, her head high, her royal robe flowing around her. The great leaders of her people surrounded her, their sharp eyes fixed not only on her but also on Aiden, who stood at her side. Murmurs filled the room like a rising tide. A human in the sacred hall? It was unthinkable. Some glared with open hatred, others with fear. Aiden felt the weight of 1,000 eyes pressing down, but he didn't flinch. He had stood against collapsing stations, burning ships, and swarms of raiders. A room full of nobles would not break him. One elder finally stepped forward, voice sharp as a blade. Princess Lyra, we warned you. This human clouds your judgment. He has no place here, end this. Attachment before it destroys us all. Lyra's heart pounded, but she did not waver. He saved my life. He saved our people. When raiders would have torn us apart, how can you speak of dishonor when he has shown only courage? Another elder sneered. Courage? Or recklessness? Humans bring chaos wherever they go. They are not like us. You know the stories. I know the stories, Lyra replied, her voice like steel. But I also know the truth. This man is not chaos. He is hope. The hall fell into shocked silence. After the council dismissed them, Aiden walked beside her through the long corridors. His voice was low, uncertain. That was bold. You stood against your entire council. Lyra stopped, turning to face him. I would stand against the galaxy itself if I had to. Her words struck him deeper than any weapon. He searched her eyes, and for the first time there was no wall between them. Still, doubt lingered. Lyra, if staying with me means losing your crown... She cut him off, her hand brushing against his. What is a crown worth if I lose what makes my heart strong? Aiden's chest tightened. He had no answer. Days later, news spread fast. An Empire fleet was coming. Not raiders, not mercenaries, but the Empire itself. A vast power that ruled many systems. They saw Lyra's bond with a human as dangerous, a threat to their control. The fleet arrived like a storm of steel, surrounding Lyra's world. Their message was clear. Surrender the human or face destruction. The council panicked. Some begged Lyra to hand Aiden over. Others whispered of exile. But Lyra rose from her throne, her voice carrying across the chamber. If the Empire thinks it can control my heart, it underestimates me. I will not surrender him. Gasps filled the hall. The elders warned of ruin, but she ignored them. Her choice was made. That night, Aiden found her in the Garden of Starlight, where crystal trees glowed softly under the sky. She stood alone, staring at the heavens, her shoulders heavy with the weight of her choice. He stepped closer. You shouldn't have to fight this battle for me. She turned, her silver hair shining in the glow. It is not just for you. It is for us. For what we could be. Aiden's throat tightened. Lyra, if you ask me to leave, I will. I'll disappear if it means keeping you safe. Her eyes flashed, fierce and bright. No, do you not understand? You are the first to see me as more than a crown. You are the one who reminded me I am alive. I will not let them take that from me. He reached out, and this time she did not hesitate. Their hands met, warm and steady. Then we stand together, he said. Together, she echoed, her voice trembling but strong. When the Empire's fleet attacked, the sky turned to fire. Their warships rained destruction, but Lyra's people rose in defiance. Ships launched, weapons blazed, and among them, Aiden fought at Lyra's side. He manned the cannons once again, his human determination pushing the systems beyond their limits. Lyra commanded with fire in her voice, rallying her people. For hours the battle raged. They were outnumbered, outgunned, but not outwilled. At the height of the battle, the Empire commander's voice echoed across the comms. Surrender the human. Spare yourselves needless death. Lyra stood tall, her image,